There's up the hill is our S-Bahn stop. And there are the buildings across the street from where we came up. And now we're going to the Rewe, which is in a little square, open square near our apartment. There is a picture of the little square from out here. And there are the stores that are in our little square. Building that is a landmark for where we turn to the left on Birketweg. Now we're crossing the street, as is everybody else. And we could go straight ahead, but I think we're going to turn left here. Yes, we are. That is the building that we passed this morning. And here is our little square adjacent to the various apartments, houses in our area. Eva's going to look at some postcards while I keep walking. There's the Aldi and the DM stores. They're actually downstairs in that building. And here's the Rewe, which is kind of a grocery store. I'll be out here. It's just a nice big open square. There's an Ela bake shop inside where sometimes we get our breakfast goodies. And then over here is the Yuli Cafe, which is Oriental. And then here is La Taqueria. And the great thing about La Taqueria is that they serve real Mexican food. How about that, sports fans? you see a lot of mothers riding their bikes with their children and little cars hanging onto the back of the bike.
On hangers.
On hangers. And the beer here, a Weizenbier, is King Ludwig. König Ludwig, and that's one of my favorites. We used to have it at the Oktoberfest in Kansas City. Now we're walking through this, pass through in this building ahead of us, and then we'll be going on up. All the people in their bicycles. This is a bicycle society. And we're going to go through up until where you can maybe see those little kids. This looks like the children have had a big bicycle wreck here. Language must be really easy, they said, because even the kids can speak it. Now we're at the other end of this little sidewalk, and we'll switch over and we'll be heading on up another big block towards our house. We're still about 2 big blocks away. There's another bicycle to take your children around with you.
Bike coming.
There's a bike coming, Mom says. And a car. And they have children's little schools in this area. We're not sure what years this school is, but if you see that silver tubing, the children can evidently go up on the balcony and slide down to the playground.
Special feature.
Special feature. And we'll be going straight on here up to the next block. And here is one of the children's play areas that are scattered throughout this little complex of apartments. And here is another over here. Almost between every apartment building, there are children's little play areas, and the trees behind these buildings is the beginning of the Hirschgarten from this direction. There's a family coming on various types of transportation. That little bitty girl is making pretty good time. We're coming upon the building of the young couple, Sarah and Umut, that helped us out the first night we were here trying to find the apartment. I had the wrong address, which was wrong in the directions actually, and they were so nice that they actually called the Airbnb and called the girl who was renting us the apartment. And then on top of that, they bought us a pizza to be delivered. That was Sarah and Umut. I think she was maybe Afghan,
Yes,
and he was Turkish. But they were both Germans, but their parents or grandparents were from the other countries. We're walking along the street, and this is where I did a lot of looking through, because it said, this sign says 4 to 8 in Gosserbogen, and I'd been given the address of 5 in Gosserbogen, so I was sure it had to be in there. And you can see Sarah and Umut's apartment. It's the highest one just below the roof. And they were out. She was out, I think, on the balcony, and I asked her where this number was, and then her boyfriend Umut came out, and he came down and helped me try to find it. And the address I had was actually the address of Stefanus Kinderland, right across the street here. It was number 5, and certainly I wasn't going to find a room to stay in the kindergarten building. And our actual building is on just up ahead, a few more buildings. And there's another trail to the Hirschgarten. And these are the 3 apartment buildings, but ours is the 3rd one. And we've had a big day. We've been to how many beer gardens today?
4.
We've been to 4 beer gardens today.
Plans to go to a 5th.
And we may yet go to the beer garden in the Hirschgarten. We've heard that Bayern München's football team is playing tonight, and if they're showing it in the Hirschgarten, then we're hoping to go watch with the local football fans. I've seen a lot of Bayern München jerseys and t-shirts today. And here is our building. There's somebody going into the garage. Some people get garage spots. I don't know if all do. And here's our front door. And I'm going to walk around and get the key. We only had one key, and so we leave it hidden outside on the patio. There's our sign to the Hirschgarten over there. And some of the buildings next to us. And our building. And there's our patio. And the key is in there. And it's right here on the patio. And this little flower pot. And I'll replace it when we come back out. And I should mention, this is kind of a sidelight, but yesterday we went out and saw the grounds in which the official Oktoberfest is set up, and they're still setting them up every year. They tear all the buildings down and then they rebuild them for the next year's. And so we got to see some of the buildings, and we were surprised to see a little beer garden that was just stuffed with people just outside the grounds. And as we were walking away, Neva heard a sound behind us, and an older man on a motorcycle had been struck by a car, and he tumbled over. And some of the younger people around the street had gone, and they jerked up the motorcycle so that it wasn't pinning the gentleman to the ground. And he seemed to be all right, but he didn't have a helmet, and so he probably did get kind of knocked woozy at least. And when we had left, the police and the ambulance were both showing up, but he was up and walking around, and he and the driver of the other vehicle were telling their sides of the story. So that's the end of this recording.